What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden Jay here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well today. I am most certainly doing well. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed their Labor Day break. Yeah, everyone is getting back into the transition, I guess, of the early stages of fall. If you're in school, starting up that, congrats, good luck, or going back to work. I don't know, whatever. Good luck with that. But what's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden is the name. We got some good stuff to talk about in today's stream, as always. But before we dive into all that, everyone, please smash that like button. Turn on those post notifications. If you're new to the channel, tell your friends about this channel. Subscribe. On this channel, we talk all great baseball, Mets content, all great stuff. So do not hesitate. And yeah, let's stop wasting any more time and let's discuss what we're going to be going over in today's stream. In today's stream, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the Washington Nationals series preview. We're going to be summary. Sorry. We're going to be summarizing that. We're talking about what went well, what went wrong. Obviously the Mets had a really unfortunate series against the Nationals. The first time they lost the series to the Nationals in quite some time. Obviously, the Mets were coming off of high morale, just taking 2 of 3 against the best team in baseball in the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then they come into this National series with high hopes and high expectations and just kind of let down. So we're going to be going over to that, really everything that went wrong, for the Mets in that general aspect. Then we are going to be touching on the New York Mets as well as the Pittsburgh Pirates series preview. We are going to be previewing that. And then, of course, all your guys' comments, questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, the Orioles, Pirates, whatever. I know it says Mets talk, but in reality, it's really baseball talk at this rate. So yeah, let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into the series. Obviously the Mets had a really unfortunate series against the Washington Nationals. Like I said, expectations were high coming into this series. Things were supposed to go well. You were hoping to expand that lead in the NL East against the Braves, but things did not go well for the Mets. Getting things started on Friday's game, they won Game 1, so they started off this series good by winning. Like I said, they won by a score of 7-3. We had David Peterson on the bump for the Mets, and Peterson had a pretty good outing. Like I said, Peterson's been very consistent when it comes to him stepping in. We know that the Mets were kind of in the difficult spot of whether to decide to make him a long reliever or, if they want him in the rotation to be that sole lefty. Like I said, the Mets need to address some type of remedy for that shortage of lefties in the bullpen and the rotation. So Peterson is very, very valuable. So obviously he came in to pitch that day, and he had a pretty decent outing, 5 1/3 of an inning, 8 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, 95 pitches, 58 of those were in the strike zone. Like I said, Peterson's really been doing a good job lately. Like I said, we know that he's throwing his slider much harder, something that he's really been trying to work on since his debut in 2020. So really good to see him working on that slider. That's been a pitch that he's really trying to pinpoint with accuracy, get a lot of whiffs and a lot of swinging and misses. We know in the past that he was more of a ground ball pitcher, and I think he is. Peterson will have some outings where he may get 1 or 2 strikeouts and 10 ground balls to the left side. But then he'll have another outing where he'll get 10 strikeouts with maybe 3 ground balls overall in the whole game. So like I said, he really has been very impressive, Peterson, this season. So phenomenal expectations. Like I said, he gets into plenty of hits, but he's phenomenal when it comes to the double play. Peterson is at his top tier elite in terms of him on the mound when he is under pressure. I know it sounds weird, but when there's 1 out, runners on the corners, double play, boom, inning over. And like I said, you have elite defense to really, really fix yourself. Like I said, you have the elite defense to fix yourself. So something very impressive from David Peterson. Making a call to the bullpen, Michael Givens came in for 1 2/3 of an inning, 0 hits, 0 runs, a walk, a strikeout. So Pretty good outing for Michael Givens. We know that he has had his fair share of issues so far since joining the Mets at the trade deadline. So very important to see him really get his stuff together. We're going to need him to be together, if the Mets have playoff hopes. Following that, Dolly Rodriguez came in an inning, a hit, 2 strikeouts. Wow, what a surprise. Absolutely shocking to see Dolly Rodriguez with a clean outing. So good to see. And then Seth Lugo came in to close this game out. Obviously, 1 inning, a hit, 2 strikeouts. Like I said, very good day for the bullpen. I know it's against the Credis Nationals lineup, but hey, you'll take what you can get. The pitching looked good. 3 runs this whole game. Bullpen was shut lights out. In terms of the offense did their job. Obviously, 10 hits, 7 runs. You like to see that. Everyone pretty much got on base that was starting this game, with the exclusion of Marte and Lindor. But getting things started with the offensive production and the scoring in the second inning, Eduardo Escobar starts things up with a 2-run homer to right. Escobar with a really good series against the Washington Nationals. Escobar had a 2-run homer, as stated, to right field, 410 feet, to bring in himself and Jeff McNeil. Moving on into the 4th inning, Tomas Nido had a sacrifice fly, which brought in Daniel Vogelbach. Heading on into the 6th inning, Pete Alonso had a solo home run to left, 375 feet. So good to see Alonso with the power. We all love seeing Alonso hit home runs, so can't go wrong with that. Heading on later into the 6th inning, Eduardo Escobar had a sacrifice double play, obviously to bring in Tyler Naquin. Later on, with 2 outs, Tomas Nido comes up in the bottom of the order and has an opposite field single to right to bring in Jeff McNeil. And then the final run of this game to put the icing on the cake, Brandon Nimmo had an RBI triple to deep center to bring in Nido. Great hustle there from both Nido and Nimmo. Obviously, Nido was on first base during this hit, and he's not the fastest guy, so good to see him chug that out. Really run that out. And of course, Nimmo, who definitely has top tier speed. I will say Brandon Nimmo is very underrated when it comes to his speed. He's definitely one of the top tier guys in sprint speed in the league, and he definitely does not get the credit he should get when it comes to sprint speed. So yeah, really good outing. Like I said, Mets win 7-3. Michael Givens with the W. And then the rest of the series does not get too great. Obviously, the Mets would only go on to score 2 more runs the whole series. Getting things started onto Saturday's game, things got rough. We had Patrick Corbin on the bump for the Nationals, and we know how the Mets are against the Nationals and Patrick Corbin. They own him, but not this outing. Getting things started, we had Max Scherzer on the bump. Decent outing. 5 innings, 3 hits, a run, a walk, 5 strikeouts, 67 pitches. Could have clearly went longer, but unfortunately, he left due to some soreness. Obviously, he is fine. Was more of a precautionary type of thing. He obviously did not want to leave, but obviously Showalter and the Mets pitching staff, we're not going to take any chances with the Cy Young dominant pitcher and Scherzer. Like I said, you're in a playoff push, so you're not going to risk him getting hurt over one game against the Nationals. So unfortunate he left. Like I said, only 1 run, so he did his job. Just 1 home run to start things off in the 1st inning. Then Tommy Hunter came in, an inning, 2 hits, a strikeout, no complaints. Dolly Rodriguez came in, no complaints, an inning, a hit, strikeout. Adam Ottavino came in, a little bit of a jam, but got out of it. An inning, 2 hits, a run, whatever. And then this is where things really blew up in the 9th inning when Adonis Medina came in, pitched 1/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 24 pitches. Yikes! Pretty shitty outing, if you ask me. Really unfortunate. Like I said, it's stuff like this that really kills the Mets. Adonis Medina just did not have his stuff. He looked horrible. I really hate to bash on him because, we remember that Dodger series back in June where he was really clutch and got us out, jams like that. But, I cannot say this enough, is that the Mets need to figure something out with their pitching, with their bullpen staff. This is something that the Mets did not address at the deadline. And, now we're seeing, what it's done. Like I said, the Mets, Billy Epler, were quiet when it came to the bullpen at the deadline. They went with the approach of trusting Dolly Rodriguez as the sole lefty and waiting until McGill, Lucchesi, and Peterson could all slide into the bullpen. And, well, you know what? Now you're seeing the consequences to that. Adonis Medina came in for the 9th inning. Like I said, it's a 1-run lead. You were more than capable of coming into the bottom of the 9th and getting at least 1 run to tie it, 2 to win it. And it's situations like this where you lose that. And when it comes to, what's going to happen for the future, if you had the depth, if you had the bullpen and the dominant arms in this bullpen, you wouldn't have to put a Donis Medina in the ninth inning when you're down by a run. You could have easily went with a guy like Adam Ottavino, Edwin Diaz. And then, if you had the depth of, good guys, I hate to say that, but good guys in this bullpen, then you wouldn't have to use guys like Adonis Medina. I get it. You used Ottavino obviously earlier in this game, so he was out of the picture. Could you have let him win 2 innings? Only 12 pitches. Adonis Medina had 24. You probably could have, but considering he pitched a lot in the Dodgers series, and then, of course, this, he's been dominant. So, like I said, we'll see. And yeah, obviously he kind of blew up the lead. And then following that in his MLB debut, Bryce Montes de Oca, my apologies if I butchered that name, came in to try and finish things off. 2/3 of an inning, a hit, walk, strikeout, I guess clean outing for him there. Like I said, the bullpen really was a letdown, really unfortunate. Yeah. So that's how things go. Getting started into the offense, 4 hits, a run against Patrick Corbin. We made one of the worst pitchers in the league look like a Cy Young caliber. 7 innings, a hit, 7 innings, 3 hits, a run, a walk, 5 strikeouts. I mean, I get it. The Mets have not been able to hit left-handed pitching, but this is just a joke. I mean, the Mets have butchered on Patrick Corbin in the past, and this is what they get. And I've said it all season. I've said it for probably over a year now. The Mets cannot hit left-handed pitching. And you brought in guys like Darren Ruff, Tyler Naquin to try and fix that. And obviously they didn't do jack diddly squat this series. So like I said, really unfortunate series. Obviously Mets lose game 2 by a score of 7-1. In terms of the offense, it was very quiet in the 3rd inning. Eduardo Escobar had a solo home run to left, 432 feet. That's all I got. Getting started on the final game, the Mets also lost 7-1. It seems the winning run of this series was really 7. I don't know why, but this was a really unfortunate game. Carlos Carrasco came in 2 2/3 innings, 6 hits, a runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 54 pitches. Carrasco did not have his stuff. Obviously, this was Carrasco's. This was Carlos Carrasco's first start since missing 2 weeks due to a left oblique strain, I believe it was. So this was his first appearance back. Could he have went to a rehab start? It was a possibility. We know that right now, obviously, a lot of, the minor league affiliate seasons are wrapping up. So could that have been an option? I don't know. But we saw the consequences of it, and Carrasco just did not have his stuff. Obviously, I mean, 1 run in the 1st inning. Okay, you figured, just one little minor thing, nothing crazy. You had, a run, 1 run lead. Could it be, you got the lead back in the 2nd inning and things just seemed to blew up. Like I said, the bullpen came in. They certainly didn't help. They did actually. Trevor Williams came in for 1/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Take it with a grain of salt. It wasn't a 2-run homer against Cesar Hernandez, which was his first homer of the year, which was kind of depressing, but whatever. Really unfortunate. Tommy Hunter then came in, 2 innings, walk, strikeout. So, I mean, good to see that you get some positive out of your bullpen in that game. Like I said, this was a game that was easily winnable. But yeah, like I said, the offense didn't show up either. 1 run, 6 hits. Getting started on the offense in the 2nd inning, Jeff McNeil had a sacrifice fly to center to bring in Alonso. Really tough. Mets lose 7-1. It was really tough. You had 6 guys get on base in total. I mean, McNeil had a good day, 2 for 2 with the walk and an RBI, but everyone else pretty much went to sleep. So, like I said, really unfortunate series. You hope that you can move past it. Like I said, the offense really struggled this series, and I get it. They said 1,000 times this team has complexities when it comes to lefties, but this offense really struggled. And, Alonso was quiet, Lindor was quiet, and Marte was so-so. But we've been seeing when 2 or 3 guys struggle in this lineup, the whole lineup struggles. And I mean, that's really how it is in baseball a lot is, when usually you're, 2, 3, and 4 hitters struggle, usually the rest of the lineup is going to struggle as well. Guys like McNeil were doing a great job, but unfortunately, McNeil's not a power hitter, so he can't, he's not going to be hitting home runs to drive in runs. McNeil's going to, hit the ball, but with no one on base, what good is that going to do? And if McNeil's batting in the seventh hole or sixth hole, and he has Naquin and Nito behind him, what's that going to do? So, like I said, really unfortunate series for the Mets. You hope they could try and figure things out against the Pirates. And let's move on into that. The Mets obviously were supposed to play last night, but there was a rain delay in Pittsburgh. We'll say it, in air quotes, considering I don't even know if it rained there. But getting things started, the Mets are going into Pittsburgh with a record of 85-50, 39-27 on the road. So, like I said, not horrible. It's obviously not horrible. It's the second best record in MLB. And, of course, one of the best home records, of course. Pittsburgh Pirates have not had the best of luck this season, 49-84, 26-39 at home. Yeah, Pirates, going into the season had a little bit of hope. They thought with some young guys in Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, O'Neal Cruz. They thought that maybe they can try and get some luck, but things have not been there for them this season. Obviously, like I said, we'll see. Getting things started on tonight's game, which will be at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will have Taijuan Walker on the bump for the New York Metropolitans. Obviously, Taijuan Walker is 10-3 on the season, a 3.45 ERA, a 1.21 WHIP, 122 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 93 strikeouts. Like I said, Walker, we know that people were concerned over Walker's second half collapse. He's really only had one bad outing in the second half. So, like I said, hopefully he could really try and beat up on this Pirates offense. We know the last time Walker pitched in Pittsburgh, and we don't need to go over that. But yeah, like I said, hopefully Walker could have a good outing against this Pittsburgh Pirates team. Walker has pretty good numbers against the Pirates with the exclusion of last year. And even that's, like I said, we're not going to bring up last year. But yeah, like I said, Walker, keep the splitter slider on point, throw that split finger hard. Throw the slider hard. We've been seeing the velocity on the split finger increase. Get those strikeouts, get those whiffs. If we could see 7, 8, 9 strikeouts, then we could definitely expect a really good outing from Taijuan Walker, of course. So, like I said, we're going to have to see how things go there. Obviously, Mitch Keller will be on the bump for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Game 1. Getting into Game 2, which will be tomorrow, which is a 2-game doubleheader. Tomorrow's game, which will be at 12:35 Eastern Standard Time. Not big on the early starts, but whatever. 12:35 Eastern Standard Time. We will obviously be seeing Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Mets. Obviously, Jacob deGrom, one of the best pitchers in the league, will be on the bump for the New York Mets. deGrom is obviously 4-1 on the season, a 1.98 ERA, 0.55 WHIP. 36 and 1/3 innings pitched with 55 strikeouts. I don't really need to go over, what makes deGrom so elite. Like I said, Cy Young caliber pitcher. He really knows what he's doing. Like I said, high velocity, throws plenty of strikeouts, limits walks, limits barrels, limits hard contact. Like I said, that could really be used to his advantage. Like I said, the only thing that's really going to determine his success is if, he gets some run support. If he gets run support, gets 3-4 runs on his side, definitely expect a common W for the Mets and, of course, Jacob deGrom. And obviously, going against him will be Bryce Wilson. Couldn't really tell you much about him, but he's a righty, so no worries there. Getting started on Game 3 and the final game of this 3-game series, which will be Game 2 of this doubleheader, which is tomorrow at 6:35 Eastern Standard Time. We'll have Chris Bassitt on the bump for the Mets. Bassitt 12-7 on the season so far. 3.32 ERA, 1.15 WHIP, 154 and 1/3 innings pitched, and 143 strikeouts. Like I said, Bassitt and the strikeouts have been best friends lately. We've been seeing Bassitt come into plenty of outings, getting 7 to 12 strikeouts at this rate. It seems with him, he's really been doing a phenomenal job, to say for the least. Been absolutely very impressed with Chris Bassitt. When it comes to complaints, I don't like to complain a whole lot on Chris Bassitt. The only thing I would complain about is the long ball. Like I said, he's had his fair share of issues with the long ball. For starters this season, giving up 15 long balls and 154 innings pitched, which isn't horrible. But like I said, Pittsburgh can be a little bit of a hitter's park, maybe, considering that right field wall. So, if you could really expect him to keep the ball in the ballpark, light contact, expect a really good outing from Chris Bassett. Like I said, he's been a big part to this team's success. He's obviously been pitching really well for for this Mets team for the whole season. He's been healthy. He's been really one of the few consistent guys on this team for the Mets. So, like I said, Bassett, I know I would say he's pretty underrated. I really would say for the least. So yeah, like I said, we'll see how things go. And obviously for the Pirates, they'll have Juan Avito. I apologize if I butchered that name. He will obviously be starting for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And obviously he is the recent acquisition in which they got him at the trade deadline. So yeah, like I said, we are going to have to see how things will go for the Pirates and, of course, the New York Metropolitans. One thing to note on when it comes to the Pirates, I guess I will give, 5 takeaways, 5 things to keep an eye out on for this series by SNY. And they pretty much just said, how bad are the Pirates? Like I said, the Pirates are very bad, 49-84. They slightly have a better record than the Nationals. But like I said, we saw the Nationals at Citi Field, and the talent they have displayed in DC was able to beat up on them. Obviously, I think the Nationals are right now a little bit more dangerous than the Pirates. Like I said, the Pirates have really been struggling. 10-30 since the All-Star break. It's one of the worst records since, and 2-12 in their last 14. And that includes getting swept by the Blue Jays at home over this past weekend. Pirates do not pitch well. Like I said, they have one of the worst pitching depths in the league. I think that would be one thing to make them successful if they want to get over that rebuild is get pitching. One of the worst pitching stats in the league, obviously. Their starters, like I said, I don't like to use ERA, but right now their starters post a 4.67 ERA, which is 12th in the NL, which is a big problem. Like I said, offensively, they're not really hitting 219 average with a 645 OPS, which is one of the lowest in the league right now. So, yeah, like I said, we're going to have to see how things can go there for the Pirates. They have had their fair share of issues this whole season. Number 2, obviously, is going to be will the bats warm up? Like I said, the Mets offense has been very quiet for the last 2 weeks, only scoring 36 runs in 12 games, going 6 for 6. So that's not horrible. But, if you were able to score, 3, 4 extra runs when needed, maybe you would have some good luck, obviously. But yeah, right now, like I said, those stats are not too great to see. You hope that they can try and amp up their offense. Like I've said dozens of times, when 1 or 2 guys struggle on this lineup, which is usually guys like, in your 2, 3, and 4, spot, then the whole team struggles. And I get it. That's all a baseball. But, yeah, hopefully they could really try and fix that where their whole offense could be hitting 1 through 9. Because right now, bottom end of this, order is really been struggling. So, like I said, we'll see how things can go for them offensively. Like I said, they're facing an inadequate pitching staff. So yeah, we'll see how things can go there. Obviously, number 3 is going to be the Mets. The Mets pitching dominating. Pretty much, the Mets pitching rotation is set to take advantage of a weak lineup. Like I said, you're going to have Walker, DeGrom, and Bassett scheduled for these 3 games. We discussed Walker, we discussed DeGrom, and obviously we discussed Bassett. So hopefully, if the pitching can keep lights out, you can get good start there. And then obviously the number 4 thing to look at, according to SNY, is going to be the first look at O'Neal Cruz. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz called up by the Pittsburgh Pirates this season. The 6'7" rookie shortstop. Obviously, he is the size of Aaron Judge practically. He is, fun fact, the tallest ever to play the position in the big leagues. And yeah, it's pretty much been a serious buzz with some eye-popping skills since being called up on June. In late June, I believe. Obviously, in the 2 weeks, like I said, he's a nice lefty. He hits the ball hard. I get it. He has a low average, low on base percentage. I don't care about that. He hits the ball really hard. This dude is capable of getting a single out to the field with an exit velocity of 122 miles per hour, which, I mean, we're seeing some of the hardest hit balls in StatCast era, which I believe, began, 2015. So a couple years ago, almost a decade ago. His arm is explosive. Like I said, as a shortstop, he's capable of throwing 97.6 miles per hour. His sprint speed is dominant. I mean, people say, Hayden, describe O'Neal Cruz. I say he's Aaron Judge. He's pretty much Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, and I mean, like, Kevin Kiermaier all in one practically. So we'll see how the Mets are able to deal with him, whether it comes to the defense and offense. And then obviously, I guess the number 5 thing is going to be Jeff McNeil providing some great offense. Like I said, he is in the hunt for the batting title. Like I said, only 2 more Sundays. I mean, obviously, he had 2 hits this past Sunday. McNeil, like I said, remains one of the hottest hitters in the majors over the last several weeks. Yeah, he's been raising that batting average. I get it that, average isn't really a great stat. I'm not big on it, but like I said, he's definitely capable of winning it. He only has a couple guys obviously ahead of him. Paul Goldschmidt, 331, and of course Freddie Freeman, 322. So he's 320. So like I said, 2 away to Ty Freeman, and then dozen or so away from Goldschmidt. So like I said, this would be cool to see if McNeil can get that award. Like I said, he's having a phenomenal season, so definitely capable of it. So yeah, that'll be the Mets and Pirates series. Expectations, I would really like this team to sweep. I really would. I think if the Mets go into this series and sweep, I think that would really be good. I think that would kind of make a lot of Mets fans just forget about what happened in this Washington Nationals series and say, okay, you know what? We got 3 of 3 against the Pirates. No need to sweat it. You got to, feast on these games. Like I said, I get it. They're not good teams. I understand that. But like I said, the only way that you could continue to expand yourself in the division against the Braves is by winning games against these teams. I mean, unfortunately, you're only going to have 3 more games against the Braves. So, I mean, what is that going to do? I mean, it'd be exciting, but it would be so much stress, and I would hate for them to pretty much have a, division determined by that last series against the Mets and Braves, which is I think the second to last series for both teams in the whole season. So like I said, we're going to have to see. I get it. They're a bad team. I've always heard it. Good teams beat up against bad teams. I get it. It's a good way to beat them. But don't underestimate the Pirates. I mean, keep in mind, this is a team that swept the Los Angeles Dodgers at home just a couple months ago. I think just a couple weeks ago, practically. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to honestly have to wait and see. Hopefully, Mets could take 3 of 3. At worst, 3 of 2. Anything worse, I'll probably come on here and throw my laptop and have some rage talk with Hayden. But yeah, like I said, that is the Mets and Pirates series preview and the New York Mets and Washington Nationals series summary. So now we're going to get into some of your guys' comments, questions, and concerns, of course. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, anything related to the Mets, the Orioles, the Pirates, the Nationals, anything MLB related, don't hesitate. Drop it below, and we'll definitely get into it. Just give me 1 second. All right. So what is going on, Devin, guys? What's going on? Devin, Ibindos, Karen, Steven, Trey, Alex, Ibindos, Gio, Cal, Davis, Marco, Hagen. What's going on, buddy? Michael says, can't wait to see the Mets finally play baseball in late October. You and me both, pal. Trust me, I get stressed about these games. I can only imagine how stressed I'm going to be over these couple games. It's going to be crazy. It really is. Cal, what's going on? He says, hey, Hayden, what's up? Disappointing series, but on to the next. Yeah, that's all you could really do. Kobe says, hey, Hayden, how are you? I'm doing well. Rough series against the Nets. The Nationals. Mets got to take these games away onto the Pirates series. Of course, like I said, sweep, take 2 or 3, and I'll be happy. Ooh, this is a good question. Trey says, what will happen first? Albert Pujols hits 700 homers or Aaron Judge hits 61 this season? So right now, Pujols is 5 away, I believe. I think he's at 695, if I'm corrected. And obviously, Judge is at 54. So that is, less than 10 away. And obviously, both of these guys, I believe, have 28, 29 games to go. So, I get it. Pujols has less to hit. He's up there in age, though. He may not have as much power as Judge, where Judge is younger. He's, in his prime. He's healthy now. So it's kind of hard. I would really love to see Pujols get 700. We'll see. I mean, right now, the Cardinals, let's see if they're playing in any good ballparks the next couple days or weeks. I mean, they're playing at home against the Nationals. They play in PNC. A lot of home games ahead. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see if, he could take advantage of his ballpark that he's, played in since I was born practically in 2002. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think I'm going to go Pujols 700 just for the sake of it. Peter says, I'm not worried at all. With a month left, anything could happen, especially with the extra wild card spot. The Mets are going to the playoffs no matter what. Yeah, I get it. And that's kind of been something that a lot of people have been saying. And listen, they're going to go to the playoffs regardless. If they were to lose every single game this season, they would still have a winning record. I think the thing is, the Mets fans are tired of seeing the Braves win the division. Obviously, the Braves won the last 5 in a row. Keep in mind the Nationals in 2019 won the wild card, FYI. So people are kind of tired of seeing the Braves win the division. I think any team would want, any fan would want their team to win the division instead of the wild card. I mean, it's cool, the wild card. I mean, we've seen 2019 Nationals won the wild card and they won the World Series. 2014 Giants. So like I said, I mean, it's really possible. Any wild card team makes it. This year it's going to be a little bit more interesting considering it's 3 games instead of 1. But yeah, like I said, hopefully the division is what's key for the Mets. Marco, what's going on? What's new in Mets land? Yeah, I mean, like I said, Mets Pirates tonight. Mets are coming off of a rough series against the Nats, and yeah, I mean, that's all you could say pretty much. Davis says Mets take 2 of 3 against the best team in baseball, the Dodgers, but then lose 2 of 3 against the worst team in baseball, the Nationals. Baseball can be weird. Yep, that's baseball for you. Talking Mets with Rob, what's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in. He says, what up, college? First time this year the Mets went into a series against a bad team, and they thought they could show up and just win. Yeah, like I said, morale going into the series was high. I was expecting a sweep, at worst 2 of 3, but I did not expect the Mets offense to be shut down and their pitching and their bullpen to really be beat up. So, like I said, hopefully better things can be looked at this upcoming series. Yeah, I did answer that. Cal says Atlanta has Seattle, the Giants, Phillies, Nationals, Phillies again coming up versus the Mets, who have Pittsburgh, Miami, Chicago, and Pittsburgh again. Time to take some ground in the division and extend this lead. Yeah, like I said, the thing is, the Braves are just not losing. Like I said, I think, Braves and Mariners series could be interesting. Giants, Phillies, Nats, I mean, Philadelphia has been, struggling. Obviously, they had two past series for Phillies have been rough. Giants, I mean, how much can you count on them? And the Mariners, I think that's really the only team that I really have faith in when it comes to beating the Braves. So, yeah, right now, I mean, I think the Mets have a much easier schedule, but it seems even if the Mets win those games, the Braves just are not losing. They've just been really hot. They've been going on these 3-4 game win streaks and are just continuing to expand on that. So, right now, what it's really going to be is, are the Mets going to be able to take all these games along with the Braves? If the Mets lose a game and then the Braves win, that's just going to lower their chances at the division. And I get it. It's not that the Mets aren't playing well. It's that the Braves are playing well also. Starting off the season, the Mets were playing really well and the Braves were playing really bad. And then now getting into it, the Mets are playing well and the Braves are both playing well. So, now you're having a tough race, kind of like how we saw last season in the 2021 NL West, with the Dodgers and Giants pretty much competing for that division spot until pretty much the last series, practically. So right now we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be exciting. Alex, what's going on? Alex says, if the Mets make the wild card, so be it. It's still a playoff berth with 3 games rather than 1. If they make it past the wild card and lead the division by the end of the month, then good for them. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of in the same mindset. I would much rather them, obviously make it to the division. Obviously, I think that's, what any fan wants in their team. But if they make the wild card, I'm not going to be raging about it. I'd much rather them be the division champs, but wild card is a wild card. Alyssa, what's going on? He says, hey, Hayden, love your show. Hope you're doing well. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Lane, what's going on? Lane says, can the Mets win this game tonight and going into tomorrow's game 1 at 12:35 and game 2? Yeah, I think they're definitely capable of sweeping. Cal says, should the Mets call up Mark Vientos? Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we've spoken about Vientos a lot lately, and right now it's seeming that the strikeout numbers in AAA have really, been quiet. He's not striking out a lot, but he's continuing to exemplify his power at the plate. So, I mean, that really goes to show how, an aggressive hitter can keep the strikeout numbers low. So, very respectable, obviously, for Vientos. So, yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, right now, we'll see how things go. If, the Mets offense continues to struggle and, yeah, and even if guys like Ruff and Vogelbach and Naquin, if they struggle in the DH spot, I think it doesn't really hurt at this rate. Kobe says starting to get very frustrated with Vogelbach, Ruff, and Naquin. All of them had a good first week or two, but now have been ice cold. Hope they could heat up soon. Yeah, I mean, right now things have not been looking too great when it comes to that DH spot. Like I said, I agree with you. They were hot. You got in Ruff to hit that left-handed pitching. He had over 900 OPS against lefties. You brought in Vogelbach to add some, the pop in his at bat. Nice power hitter. First week he came in, he had some power, and then also had a great on base percentage, good eye discipline at the plate, and was walking. And now we're just seeing nothing out of those guys. I mean, we're seeing 5-game strike, a 5 strikeout game for guys like Naquin and Vogelbach just hitting into the shift. And yeah, hopefully, I mean, they're really gonna have to perform, or else things are gonna be really unfortunate. Sorry about that. Trey says, I believe McGill can become our 8th or 9th inning reliever, depending when Diaz is used, if he could handle the day in and day out mentality. Yeah, I think Diaz is capable of handling the day in and day out mentality. I just think it's going to come to, right now, I really don't mind Ottavino as the 8th inning guy. I mean, Ottavino's been great. I think he's had really 1 or 2 unfortunate outings, but has been very consistent this year. Slider's been nice, insane movement, insane swinging and misses, making hitters look funny. So, yeah, like I said, I have no problem. Obviously, guys like Peterson and Lucchesi and, McGill, all 3 of those guys, when fully in the bullpen, are going to add so much depth in late September and in the playoffs. You have Williams, too. So you have so many long relievers. It's insane. It really is. Like I said, I have no problem with McGill getting it. I have no problem of using him as a long reliever. Let's say someone comes out earlier for whatever reason. You give him the 6th, 7th, 8th. I mean, that could really be something. Or even just 1 inning. That would really be something. Lane says, do the Mets call Vientos? Yeah, hopefully you heard my response earlier. Philly Sports Talk Podcast, what's going on, man? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Lane says, game 1 at 12:35 and game 2 at 6:35. That is correct. Jones, what's going on? He says, what's up, Hayden? Says, Hunter aren't in that often except in blowout games. Yeah, Tommy Hunter isn't really used a whole lot. I will agree with you on that. I really feel that the Mets use him in games when they're being destroyed, and I mean, hey, I don't have an issue with that. I think he's a decent pitcher. He's pretty good, so it wouldn't hurt to start using him in some situations when it is a close game. Connor says the time is now for the Mets to promote Mark Vientos. I agree with you, man. Marco says let's sweep the Pirates LFGM, hopefully. Talking Mets with Rob says Mets had 3 or 4 chances to bring up Vientos and they continue to pass at him. Yeah, and that's really what it seems to be. I mean, you had the September call-ups on September 1st. You had right after the deadline. I mean, there were dozens of times where they just said, no, we're good. So, I mean, at this rate, you brought in guys at the deadline. They haven't been helping out at all. I mean, does Billy Epler finally realize, okay, let's call up our, DH third base prospect at this rate? I mean, we know that they had Beatty, and he obviously is going to be out for the rest of the season. So maybe will that change the mindsets of the Mets front office and say, hey, why not have a prospect? It's not going to be Beatty, but maybe keep it Vientos. Like I said, I really don't understand why they just continue to ignore him. It's really interesting. Alvaro, what's going on? He says, because he gets on base. Absolutely. My favorite Moneyball quote. Lane says, the Mets call up Philip DeLee. I unfortunately do not know who that is. Kobe says, it seems when 2 or 3 guys struggle in this lineup, the whole lineup struggles. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it seems to be for the most part. And I think that's a lot of lineups when, usually your leadoff guy or your 2, 3, and 4 hitters struggle, the whole lineup struggles. And that's seemingly been the case for the Mets really this whole season. Cal says, I'm looking forward to the Mets getting Tyler McGill back. Yeah, you and me both. I think having McGill back is seriously going to add some big-time depth to this bullpen. Like I said, and, I've said it 1,000 times, it's simply enough getting back Lucchesi, McGill, and, putting Peterson in the bullpen. I mean, the depth in that pen is going to be insane. I mean, I can only imagine how much depth they're going to have on top of that rotation. I mean, you practically have 2 sets of the rotation, so it's phenomenal. And that second rotation is probably definitely a top 15, top 10 anyways. Peterson's thoughts on the New York Yankees right now. Think they'll fire Boone. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about the Yankees the last couple streams briefly. It's really the same thing, for the last couple years with the Yankees. Last year started off good, had a rough second half, got into the wild card spot. The Rays were the better team. It's been established. Right now, it's kind of a juggernaut for that second place. Obviously, you have the Blue Jays, you have the Rays. The Orioles are almost 10 games over 500. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, are they going to fire Boone? The beat reporters already fired him like they do every year. Like I said, if there's anyone to go, it's Cashman, in my opinion, not Boone. But right now, with the Yankees, like I said, they're a completely different team than they were in the second half. Besides Aaron Judge, no one else is doing anything. It's the Aaron Judge show, and that's it. I mean, a lot of your lineup is not as clutch anymore. They've really been a home run or nothing team for the most part. The bats have had their fair share of struggles. Like I said, we see plenty of home run or strikeout teams, whether that's the Braves, whether that's the Yankees, and it works sometimes. It doesn't work in the playoffs, and we've seen it, the last couple of years from teams, you know, like the Yankees. But yeah, right now, I mean, Yankees, they have a tough agenda. Their bullpen's been struggling. Big part of that is Clay Holmes. He's been through the roof and how he's been. But yeah, Yankees have really had a rough stretch. Lane says, "Can the Mets beat up on the Marlins?" Yeah, I definitely think they're capable. Marlins were going into this season with high expectations, and they had the depth. Obviously, they had the talent, but they just were not able to execute. They were hoping they could at least be a 500 team, and yeah, they were not able to get that done. So, I mean, pretty unfortunate for the most part for the Marlins this season. I mean, I get it. They have some young talent, obviously, in that rotation, and then we've been seeing really the big breakout season from Alcantara as we know it. Pablo Lopez is having a really good season. A couple bullpen guys in the mix, but I mean, besides the bats, I mean, Jazz Chisholm Jr. Marlins are going to need some work. Seth says, "Let's get the sweep." Absolutely. Lane says, "How do you feel about the Braves getting into the playoffs this year?" I mean, it's expected. I mean, I expected them to get in. I had them winning the division. Actually, I thought that we would have been a wild card spot. So I mean, hey, that's great. I think the Braves are a good team. I like I said, I said on opening day that the Braves are the better team in my opinion. Was I wrong? Kinda. I mean, we'll see at the end of the season. That's the only way I could decide. But yeah, I mean, I had the Braves winning the division since April. I think, in my opinion, it was expected. I think the Braves are a really good team. And I mean, once they get guys like Soroka back from injury, Ozzy Albies back from injury, it's only going to make them much better on top of how great they've been playing. I think it's a great rivalry with the Mets and Braves. I mean, it's either the Mets division or the Braves division. Phillies, we'll see. I mean, they started off the season rough. You know, fired Girardi, went with Thompson, and they've been great since. But they had a little, rough week last week. But there's always room to turn it around. Plenty of more opportunities for them to turn it around. Obviously. So yeah, like I said, the NL East is a really exciting division. Davis says McNeil and Escobar should be moved up in the lineup. I agree with you. I don't know. We'll see about Escobar. Like I said, if you have a lefty and you want him to DH, maybe you can move him up. But McNeil should not be hitting where he is. I understand in the early parts of the season when 1 through 9 was hitting, you didn't really need to worry about lineup adjustment unless it's something like really silly. But we're seeing McNeil, who's been the best hitter on this team with average on base percentage. Bat to ball contact, been one of the best this season and really has been really consistent 99% of the time so far this season. Him batting in the 6-7 hole. Like I said, I have no problem with having a high on base merchant there, but right now, a lot of your lineup isn't hitting. The guys below him are not hitting. So it's McNeil gets a base hit, and then, Ruff, Vogelbach, whoever, and Nito are just stranding him behind him. So it's like, well, what's the point of batting him there then? I mean, when at one point there was a series where he was batting eighth, all three of those games for only Nito and McCann behind him to just ground into a double play. Yeah, right now they're gonna have to figure that out. I don't want McNeil batting low in the order. I have no problem with McNeil switching spots. At least bat him fifth, bat him behind Alonso. I have no problem with that. Alonso, who's been very well with base hits and the opposite field. when it comes to singles and doubles. Base hit, McNeil drives him in. I mean, little stuff like that has been great. We know Pete Alonso this season has, he has what, 32 homers, 33 homers, so that's still plenty. But especially this season, he's been great with contact, going the opposite way for base hits and doubles. So, put McNeil behind him and boom, that's a run in there. Could even, increase McNeil's RBI numbers. Not a great stat, but just to mention. So yeah, we're honestly just gonna have to wait and see. It's gonna be interesting. Kobe says the Mets failed to address the issues at the deadline, and they needed to become elite. And those issues will show in the playoffs. The middle relief is atrocious, and the catcher is awful. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you did not address the catching position, and you did not address your relievers. You got Michael Gibbons, who, I mean, he's been a disaster so far, and that is absolutely going to show in the playoffs. And I mean, it's showing in these, games against, the worst team in the league. It's showing off. So I mean, I can only imagine it's showing off against, teams like the Dodgers, teams like, the Braves, the Cardinals in the playoffs. So yeah, unfortunate the Mets did not really address their deadline at first for the first 2 weeks after it was paying off. But right now, Vogelbach, Naquin, and Ruff. I mean, Vogelbach has done the most so far, in my opinion. But so far, we've not been seeing really anything from any of those guys. So, like I said, it's been very, very, very frustrating. Really has. Lane says, do the Mets play the Giants in the playoffs this year? I don't think the Giants are going to make it, to be honest. I don't believe the Giants will make the playoffs this year. Camden says, what's the Mets' biggest strength and weakness for them ahead? That's a good question. I mean, right now, I'd probably have to say strength is probably maybe some versatility. I mean, they're definitely capable of offense. When it comes to weakness, probably their bullpen. Bullpen and inconsistencies, I'd say. Cubs fandom, what's going on? He says, go Cubs, go. Appreciate you tuning in, man. RJ says, do you think Aaron Judge breaks Roger Maris's record of 61 homers? Yeah, I think it's certainly possible that he can break it. Like I said, he's at, 54 now with, 28 games, 29 games to go. So I think it's absolutely reasonable for him to break it. I honestly would like to see him break it. I think it'd be nice to witness it. Obviously, you feel for Roger Maris, obviously, great guy. I mean, really, Roger Maris is not as respected as he should be. I think he's very underrated when it comes to the current generation. But yeah, like I say, Aaron Judge has 54 home runs. He needs to get 61. Like I said, you do the basic math. He needs 7 more to tie it, 8 to beat it. So I think it's possible at the pace he's been going. He had 4 homers last week. I mean, there's 3 more weeks of baseball, 3.5. If he continues the streak of getting 4 a week, he's automatically going to go past that. Rick and Morty, what's going on? He says, if the Mets sweep the series, then we would have more hope going into the next series. Yeah, pretty much how I guess it's going to work for the most part. Lane says, who is down in the farm system who could be called up for the minors? I mean, in terms of bats, you have the Entos. In terms of pitching, I mean, it's limited. I mean, they brought up Budo. Maybe instead you try again, you put him in a bullpen role and hope for the best. Like I said, when it comes to the bullpen arms, I mean, options are limited. Cal says, why don't the Mets bat Jeff McNeil higher in the lineup? No, Cal says, why don't the Mets bat Jeff McNeil higher in the lineup? He's been a great on-base merchant. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about that, and I asked myself the same question. I really wish I knew that, and I wish they could do that. Cal says the Mets look good in those black uniforms. Good call by Steve Cohen to bring back those unis. Yeah, I really do like those uniforms. Really nice touch. I mean, the Black Knight Friday, whatever it's called at Citi Field, really electric, great attitude, great atmosphere, great vibes. I really do like that. I think it's a great thing that Cohen has done. And I mean, massive props, big respect for him for doing that. Ibindo says, should Pete Alonso win MVP for the Mets? Should Pete Alonso win MVP for the New York Mets? Yeah, for the New York Mets, I think really should go to him. He's been, I mean, how much run creation he's had this season. He's been one of the Mets' great players. I mean, the Mets have so many opportunities and options for Mets MVPs, whether that's McNeil, Lindor, Alonso, maybe looking at the pitching side, Edwin Diaz, Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom for the few games he's been in. But I would probably say if there was a specific team award, I think it'd probably be Alonso. Marco says most underrated player in baseball. There's a lot. I think Sean Murphy from the A's is pretty underrated in my opinion. I get it. He's on a bad team and he's playing well. So I mean, maybe if he went to a team like the Yankees or Mets, he'd be an average. But I even do still think that he is a really underrated player. I mean, the defensive metrics like him. Yeah, I really do think he is an underrated player. Kobe says, "What do you think of this, Hayden? Lugo in the 7th, Ottavino in the 8th, and Diaz in the 9th." Yeah, like I said, that's seeming what it's going to be now. Trey says the Mets still have the second best record in MLB. Can't win every day, but you shouldn't lose 2 games like this. No, I agree, man. Rick and Morty says if the Mets continue to lose, do you think they will still have a shot at the wild card? Yeah, I mean, I'm not really worried about it. It was a rough series against the Nats. And keep in mind, you just won 2 or 3 against the best team in baseball. So, I mean, it would be pretty hard for them to just completely collapse at this time, which I don't really think the Mets will do. And like I said, I mean, you're like 20 games into the wild card regardless, and you have like 28 games left. So, I mean, it would be really hard to miss the playoffs, and I'm not worried. They definitely will. Lane says, do you see the Mets re-signing Nimmo and Jeff McNeil going into 2023? Well, McNeil will not be a free agent, so you don't have to worry about McNeil. I believe McNeil will be a free agent, I want to say 2025, so you have plenty of time from Jeff McNeil. But Nimmo will be a free agent, so Nimmo, I think, absolutely should get signed. I know he's having a decent year for the most part. I mean, defensively has been phenomenal, really broke out as a top-tier defensive player, which brings so much value to the center field position now, I know. But yeah, right now, I think the Mets should definitely bring back Nimmo right now. What a contract could look like, whether that's, 6, 7 years, anywhere around 175 million, just a ballpark number, no pun intended. I think that would be fair, considering, I mean, really how great he's been the last couple of years. He's been healthy this season and, second half of last year. So, Nimmo, if he could be healthy, we know that he had that neck, concern a couple years back, and that hasn't really come back to be a concern for him. So if he could just continue to go out on the field every single day that he's supposed to, I mean, expect really good things from him. Rick and Morty says this free agent year is going to be huge for us. Do we need to extend any of our players before the end of the season? Yeah, I mean, right now the only guys that you would really be looking at is, I mean, obviously the only guys you would really be looking at is Nimmo, DeGrom, and I believe Diaz. I believe DeGrom is gonna. I'm not really worried about DeGrom. Being completely honest with you, I really have no worry. I know that he likes it here. He's always compared himself to like David Wright and those guys who spent their whole career at the Mets. So DeGrom, I'm not worried about. Nimmo, he's a Boris guy, so going to be a pain in the behind to deal with. But I believe he will stay, whether that's a 7 year, 175, 200. We'll see. That's kind of a ballpark number, I suppose. When it comes to Nimmo staying and obviously Edwin Diaz. Other guys, I mean, you have until like 2025. But the 3 guys going into the season, DeGrom, Diaz, Nimmo. Otherwise, everyone else is 2025, 2026, which doesn't hurt to do it now, but you have time. Cal says, who could you trust outside of Edwin Diaz in their bullpen? Not many guys. Besides like Ottavino, that's really it. Yeah, I mean, besides Ottavino, I would say your options are pretty limited. Jay, what's going on? Jay says if Tyler McGill and David Peterson pitches as well as relievers as they can as starters, the Mets can go far in the playoffs. And I think the rest of this team will be extra motivated by that. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, the depth the Mets are going to have, keeping Lucchesi and Peterson as the 2 lefties in the bullpen, then obviously McGill. I mean, the long relievers are going to be insane. I mean, you're going to have 3 long relievers, obviously Lucchesi, Peterson, McGill, and Williams. So, I mean, the depth there is going to be insane just to think about. I mean, you have pretty much 9. Yeah, you have a 9-man rotation in some sense if you could really think about it. So, very impressive, really very impressive. And I think they can go far. We know that the bullpen is a concern, and right now that's the Mets' concern. But if you could have those guys to be those long relief guys, maybe you won't have that as a worry. Marco says MLB award prediction. Right now, MVP I think is pretty simple. Obviously Goldschmidt and Judge. Cy Young, Alcantara, and Verlander. And Rookie of the Year is probably going to be Julio Rodriguez and Spencer Strider. Manager of the Year, I can honestly see Buck Showalter being the Manager of the Year. And the AL, probably Brandon Hyde from the Orioles, I'd say. Cal says LFGM. Jones says, for historical perspective, the Mets have only had a 600-plus winning percentage 4 times in their history. So this, by far, is one of the best years up until now. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you're what, 35 games over 500? That's phenomenal. Going into the season, I said, be over 10 and I'll be happy. Then they went to 20, then 30. Now they're almost halfway to 40 at 35. So, yeah, I have no problem with that. Lane says, what are the Boston Red Sox going? Are the Boston Red Sox going to make the playoffs this year? Probably not. Like I said, I think they're 5 or so games under 500. They've really been struggling. Really unfortunate year for them. Probably not. Wayne says, what is the news on McGill and Dom? Dom Smith's in AAA. It seems the Mets have no reason to call him up. You know, you kind of feel bad a little bit, but you know, that's how these things go if you don't perform. And McGill, I believe, is throwing some rehab starts in Syracuse. Should hopefully be back. I'm hoping next week. Just an an estimated guess. I'm hoping next week, so that could be really good if you could see him come back next week. Steven says, do you think the Mets need to find another hitting coach? Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Eric Chavez, I mean, right now, I mean, he's really helped this team when it comes to fundamental hitting. The bunts, hitting against the shift, clutch hitting and stuff. But team has been very streaky offensively. And I mean, I really wonder, how much of it is on Chavez. I know this team isn't hitting for much power. Take with a grain of salt because your only big power hitters, are guys like Alonso and maybe a little bit of Lindor. But yeah, right now you don't have as much power besides Alonso and 2 or 3 other guys maybe mixed. So yeah, when it comes to Chavez, I mean, I've expressed some disliking in him, but I also have expressed some liking in him. So right now it's kind of hard. I mean, if the Mets continue to have a rough September, I mean, maybe you do look into something, but I think it's too early to tell right now. Peter says DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, Walker, Carrasco, McGill, Peterson, Williams. We need 4 starters for the playoffs. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Cameron says Steve Cohen is a great marketer by making the Mets cool with Timmy Trumpet coming in and putting on a show. I'll tell you, everyone loves that. Like literally, I mean, I go to parties, and that's literally and it's on, and I always recommend it, and everyone just starts going, electric. It's a fire song, it really is. Lane says, what is the news on Sean Reed Foley? I think he's still down in probably minor leagues. Kobe says 500 and also 3 against the Giants, who are a good team despite their record. Rick says, do you see the Mets picking up Aaron Judge next offseason? I think it's a possibility. I think if the Yankees miss off on him, I would feel so bad for the Yankees. I think Judge is going to stay with the Yankees, though. I really do. Of course, Eric. What's going on, Ryan? So probably gonna call it a stream here. Really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream as always. Like I said, really do appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream as always. In today's stream, we did go over the New York Mets and the Washington Nationals series summary. Then we transitioned into the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates series preview, going over expectations, what I'd like to see in that. Of course, we went into all your guys' comments, questions, concerns about the Mets offense, the Mets pitching, Brandon Nimmo, how elite Diaz has been, possible playoffs, standings, all of that great stuff. So yeah, like I said, I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. One last comment, then we will be getting going. If we see DeGrom, how long do you think it will be if we re-sign him? hard. I mean, DeGrom is how old? 34. I'm thinking like a 7-year, 8-year thing, 200 million or so. I mean, it's hard considering with the injuries of DeGrom. So yeah, yes, Dodgers will easily make it. Lane, Dodgers will easily make the playoffs. So yeah, like I said, I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. In today's stream, we went over the Nationals versus Mets series summary, Pirates versus Mets series preview. Of course, all things related Mets and just baseball overall. So yeah, really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, phenomenal stream. Like I said, appreciate everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate the constant support on the channel. Like I said, if you are new, please smash that like button. Turn on those post notifications. Tell your friends about this channel. Like I said, let's try and get to 700 subscribers or so, which would be nice in my opinion. Like I said, keep supporting. Like I said, hit that like button, turn on that notification bell, whatever it's called, so you never miss a stream or video. If you know anyone that likes baseball, share it. Let's get out there so we could, speak to more baseball, guys, girls, whatever. And yeah, like I said, if you are rewatching this on replay, drop in the comment section below saying you stuck around for this for the hour and 2 minutes. Definitely appreciate it as always. And yeah, otherwise, I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let's take 3-3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That is my goal. Otherwise, yeah, really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, yeah, LFGM. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.